All right. Beautiful. And we are here for Husky Huddle on a celebratory Monday. And with us, as always, Coach Schumann. When life hits back, you got to just hit back. That's a great slogan. I love the new slogans every day. And we have the legendary icon himself, the voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe, great to see you.
Good morning. Nice to be not the only Joe on the show.
And yes, very another special guest, former UConn player and coach at Harvard, Cornell, and now is living the sunny life out in California, Mr. Joe Villapiano. Joe, great to see you.
Cully, Coach Schumann, great to see you guys. And I'm fine being Joe number 2 behind the great Joe D.
Hardly JV.
Nathan Grella, thank you. We're happy that we could accommodate you with no more portrait mode. Let's go. No more portrait mode. Oh, that's beautiful. So go back. No, you get both. You get the best of both worlds. So we are obviously going to discuss the big win that we had Saturday against Duke. And it was against the Power 4 team. It was a game back and forth. I did not think we were going to win for a second, but we pulled it out in the end. Joe, what were your thoughts watching that game? I mean, I just...
Joe. You have to specify Joe's here.
Joe D, sorry.
Okay. Well, I watched it on replay, and I listened to the end of it. I saw the fourth quarter because I had an assignment up at UConn. Look, there's a lot to like. There's nothing not to like about it. The thing that I liked best was every time Duke scored, UConn answered on the next possession, and I thought that was critical for a couple of reasons. Number one, just to stay in the game, and number two, to keep the crowd engaged, because you know how our crowds can be at time to time. If things don't go your way, they fall a little bit into the wayside. So I think the fact that they were able to answer every Duke score with a score of their own was really critical to getting it done, and obviously the biggest win of the Jim Moore era.
Yeah, for sure. And Joe Villapiano, we had talked about Joe Fingiano. I hope I said it right. What stood out to me, Duke paid their quarterback $8 million. That was on record. They paid him $8 million to come in this year. I'm not sure what Joe gets paid, but it's not $8 million. And boy, did he perform. And we threw the ball more than I would have liked. But
Steve, let me interrupt you for a minute. Okay. You got to get this through your head. We're a UConn
passing team. That's what I was just going to say.
The run game complements the passing game. Okay.
I was just going to say that.
Idea that they're not going to pass the ball more than they run. You got to get it out of your head.
I am. I was just going to say that. I was going to tell Joe, like, we have turned into a passing team. We can throw the ball 40 times a game and have success. We have good receivers. We got Skylar Bell the ball. And the other guy that stepped up, which I was happy to see, was Romello Murphy. He had 6 catches and a touchdown over 100 yards, which, you knew they were going to try to take Skylar Bell away, and they did their best. But I thought UConn had a really good game plan going in. But Joe, overall, just his decision-making, the way he got the ball out, where he knew what to go. He knew exactly where to go with the ball pre-snap with all the quick game that they ran. What were your thoughts on his play?
Which one, me?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought he – no, it's all good because we got a lot of Joes because we got Joe Fignano as well.
Exactly.
We're taking over, man. Taking over. So I thought he did an excellent job. I mean, just really delivered the ball well, on time, accurately. He spins it so nice. And a lot of those throws were contested. I thought Duke's front was in his face. They were challenging, pushing pocket, and he was making throws, standing in the pocket, strong. There was a lot of quick game, a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage as well, which I thought was excellent. But I thought he did a great job. I know we're going to talk to some point about the scheme, but I thought Coach Samus did an unbelievable job. That was a hell of a game plan. It was a masterpiece, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Dave, what did you think, especially offensively, with some of the different things we did? I know you're having fun with the new StreamYard platform, but you called me immediately during the last drive and said we were going to win. And I was like, no way. There's no way. And I was so terrified we were going to go into overtime and lose.
Well, you know what? Like their intensity all game, like even when Duke hit them, they hit right back. They came right down the field. They were Fagano was unbelievable. He was running the ball. How about that?
51
running
that's
the ball.
What I said. I said it was critical to run the ball.
Skylar Bell, 11 catches. Juice Farine was awesome. I mean, really is coming to his own.
Another touchdown.
Yep.
And Romello Murphy had the 6 catches for 110 yards.
5 catches for 110. But he was fantastic compliment to Skylar Bell. I thought though, even though the defense gave up points, they kept fighting the whole entire game, and like 2 guys that were unbelievable. I mean, Parham was unbelievable the whole game.
Yeah.
Parham was unbelievable, and Diomande was unbelievable. I mean, those guys were just all over the field. And I mean, Parham had tackle and a half for loss, a sack, forced fumble, and an INT, and a QB hurry, right? And so, and the last play at the end of the game, right, was
the critical play. Yep.
Yes, but I mean, all game they were opportunistic. And the quarterback for Duke, who I by the way, I didn't know that he's paid $8 million. Is that true?
Over 2 years. Over 2
$8
years.
million. Oh, over 2 years. Okay.
$4 million a year.
Over 2 years.
I'm doing so many wrong things in life. It's unbelievable. But really, yeah, just so many wrong things. Yeah, I mean, I think he was. I mean, he looked sharp at times, Mensa, but like he looked out of sync a lot of the times too. Like, so we had a lot of big plays because of it on defense, because he did look a little bit out of sync. I mean, listen, most important stop was the last stop, and that was for the win. And obviously, other times in the year, when we went to overtime, those things didn't happen. So those kind of improvements are huge, and the fans are into it. Like, I mean, that was just a huge win. Like, that was it
was our biggest crowd since 2013.
I was saying, it's like a big rebirth.
Let's pump the brakes on 38,000.
Allegedly, yes.
Let's pump the brakes on that.
I know. That's why I said allegedly. That's why I said
there's not even that many seats.
If you thought about getting a ticket, it counts, Joe.
It would not if you're handed not if you're handed a ticket and you're not paying. Look, it was
it's
a great
about
crowd.
If you thought about it.
Don't get me wrong. It was a great crowd, but let's bump the brakes on 38,000.
Yes. Joe, my concern again, and just being devil's advocate, we gave up 168 yards rushing. And I mean, their running backs seemed to hit the line and get 2 yards before they were even touched by anyone. And we have failed to stop the run consistently all year long. And that is a concern of mine, especially against, Air Force going forward for this weekend. But our ability to stop the run has not changed. Do you think that is going to hinder us this Saturday, especially against Air Force, if we don't come up with a way to slow their run game down?
No, because I think 2 things.
We'll be able to outscore them.
One, Air Force UConn. There's a number that UConn can get to that Air Force can't get to scoring wise.
Right.
Okay, and number two, when you're playing a quarterback like Mensah, you've got to you got to give something's got to give, and it was the run defense. I thought they played the pass defense was particularly good. I thought what you said about the defense was right. The two linebackers, Parham and Diamande, were terrific. Parham won another New England Gold Helmet Award for being the best player in New England this week. So I'm not overly concerned about it, Steve, because I just think, you can't gear up for both the pass and the run. You've got to pick your poison. And they decided to play to defend the pass game more so than the run game. And they didn't get gashed on the ground. That didn't really happen. So no, I'm not overly concerned with it. I think they'll come up with a different game plan this week, because obviously you're facing a totally different animal in Air Force.
No, and I believe you are correct. They didn't have a third down conversion until late into the game, and they were averaging 324 or 324 a game passing. So to hold them to 222, you're absolutely right. You're going to have to give up something to get that, and they gave it up in the run game and held them in the passing game, and it paid off because we did get 2 turnovers off of it. Joe Villapiano, what were your thoughts defensively on how we played?
Yeah, I agree with Joe D 100%. I do think that Duke let us off the hook a little bit, though. To start the game with 3 straight rushes for, I think it was 55 yards and a touchdown, and then come back
down the field.
They went right down, and they came back. They threw the ball 5 straight times, which led to a pick and a score for us. But to throw the ball 5 straight times, it's like, what are you thinking as an offensive coordinator at that point? Like, you just gashed us down the field as a first drive, and then you completely go the other way. And you had your quarterback throw a pick. It's like, that to me was questionable. And then they didn't get back to that tempo and that run game until later in the third quarter.
In the game. Yeah.
And then it actually worked again, So I feel like they were, let us off the hook a little bit, but Joe's right. You got to give up something. The linebackers were definitely playing with depth, which led to that tip ball and the RPO and a pick, but I thought it was a masterful game plan for the defense too. And then, their third down, the blitz packages Coach Brock has. I mean, the guys coming from all over. Coverages you can't really decipher what they're doing. A lot of confusion. It was really, really well played.
Right. Dave, what did you think as well? Because Joe is right. I mean, we played multiple different fronts. We brought multiple different pressures, and at times it absolutely paid off. And this is a quarterback who had turned the ball over. He had 2 interceptions all year coming into this game, and we got him to throw 2. So, and I thought the stop at the end of the half was huge, because that was where they could have taken advantage, because they got the ball to start the third quarter.
Well, I think the thing about the defense is that it's been evolving. And I think that the defensive coordinator, what he has done a good job is continuing to evolve his packages. And each time, I think when he's lost, he's kind of made subtle changes that have made a difference. This game came down to the fact that we take care of the football fantastically, and Duke did not in this game. And that's really what it came down to. And so those opportunities led to the fact that we were able to beat them. I think that, when you're paying a guy $8 million, they're definitely going to let him throw the ball. They're not going to run the ball 45 times in a game. So 50 times one guy, So I think that at some point, college football is just like coaching a youth team. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to get their damn touches. So it's part of the problem. But I think that Duke did go away from it a little bit. I don't know. They have a guy that's a superstar quarterback. Eventually, they're going to start trying to throw, and I think maybe they felt like they couldn't control UConn offensively, and started to get into that kind of game. And the psychology of that within the course of a game, I think, is it could have been an issue, right? Because we were able to score, and I mean, Pagano looks so dynamic, and the offense looks so dynamic with the core guys getting the football, and then multiple guys touching it. It really put Duke in a difficult situation. They're away, and I think that maybe played a little bit of a part of it. But overall, I just think that the fact that offensively you were in a track meet, and if you weren't going to be able to, when you play UConn, you've got unless we're off for some reason in the game, like you're going to be in the track meet, and if you don't have a plan to be able to handle a track meet, you're going to have a problem. We're not walking in, we're not playing Ohio State or anything like that. So all the teams that we play, we could be in a track meet and have a good chance.
No, we can, and that's kind of what makes the Rice loss and the Delaware loss sting just a little bit more, because we were so close to having both those games.
And Syracuse.
In Syracuse too, we showed that we do have the talent and the ability to play with some of those schools. And that's what I think shows through, and being able to get a signature win for Coach Mora against Duke was huge for him. And another Power 4 conference team. I mean, I can't remember the last time we had 2 in 1 year, beating BC and then Duke. Joe D, going forward, what do you think about Duke especially? They had mentioned, if they defeat Virginia and they have one other ACC game, they could be in the ACC playoffs.
Well, they also have Wake Forest.
The championship, yes.
They also have They have Virginia, North Carolina, and Wake Forest, and there's several teams ahead of them in the standings. So,
there are. Okay.
Yeah, there's several 5-1 teams in the ACC. So it's not done by divisions. It's just one league as a whole, and the top 2 teams playing.
Okay.
So
I thought they had one. I thought they had one conference loss, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, they do. But there's several teams. They're 4-1. There's several teams that are 5-1. So,
right.
Look, whether they, the ACC, and I don't look. I'm not trying to take the wind out of anybody's sails here, but ACC is by far the 4th of the Power 4 conferences.
Absolutely,
but by a large margin. But to win those games and to do what you've been able to do, and to show the improvements, and to have Nick Saban mention you on ESPN's College Game Day, which I don't think anybody watches anymore because of Pat McAfee, but still,
the young people watch it. The young people.
Well, that's good for the young people. You can get your brains poisoned. I can do it another way. So,
Joe's like my father. My father hates Pat McAfee.
I will not watch anything that Pat McAfee associated with.
My father cannot stand them.
Him and Stephen A. Smith. ESPN. But that's for a TV podcast.
I know.
But look,
yes.
You beat who's on your schedule. And again, UConn is seconds away from being 10-0. And they're seconds away from being 5-5. So, like Parcells said, you are what your record says. You are 7-3. People should just be happy, should be thrilled with 7-3. Now, the follow-up is turnout this week for Air Force. All of those 38,000 and some of their friends can show up for the last home game and make it a big crowd. I mean, Air Force is not having a good year. They're 3-5. But they'll present a challenge just because of the way they play. But, the Duke game, again, there was – I didn't see any negative signs from the Duke game. Put it that way. Everything worked. The defense worked fine. The offense was terrific. The special teams, Freeman gives you an advantage in the kicking game.
Really
99.9% of the time, you've got an advantage with Coach Mora because of what he's been through and what he's seen in his career. So it was great. I mean, let's be honest. It was the biggest win since Jim Mora's been here, and I saw a couple of people say it was the greatest win in UConn history. Whoa, let's stop on that.
That's a little much. Yeah.
I would think Notre Dame 09, West Virginia, South Florida when you got to a couple of South Florida wins. But anyways, having said that, that was few and far between. It was a great win, especially, and it's validation for what they're doing up there. And Joe V can relate to this as a coach better than anybody. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens quick now because of the transfer portal. Let's be realistic. And you're going against a school on Saturday that's not going to believe in the transfer portal in Air Force.
Right. They don't use it. Right.
Yeah. But I just, I think let's just take it for what it is. A great win for a group of guys who love the school and seem to love being with one another. That comes through every time you hear them quoted in the media. It's not like when you and Villapiano played on the same team and hated each other's guts. I mean, it's a far place from that. You guys had offensive guys who couldn't stand the defensive guys and vice versa.
Joe, if Duke does finish out strong with the new strength of schedule formula that they're using, I don't know if they're just using it for the playoffs or they're using it for bowl games and everything. If Duke were to finish
let me interrupt you for a minute. That has nothing to bowl games is only by conference affiliation.
Okay.
And again, UConn's going to get in a bowl for a league that doesn't have enough teams to fill its thing. So that strength of schedule thing means Zippo for bowl games.
Okay, it's just for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Joe Villapiano, I will be devil's advocate and tell you my only gripe was obviously with some of our running game because, as you know, we major in outside zone. And the only problem I have with that is when there is a bad play, it's not for no gain or it's not for 1 yard. It's for -4. We lose -3. And then, Camel bust one and have a good run. But that is the only thing that does concern me. I know we have evolved into a passing offense, but I do still think that having some compliments off of the outside zone would be beneficial to us, especially with, we're really riding Cam since Mel's been injured and the other guys haven't been involved in as much. But what were your thoughts on the run game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Duke's front seven was very, very good, talented, quick. I thought they moved a lot, presented some challenges for the offensive line. And look, the reality is, guys, Fignano had 51 yards rushing. You never rely on that. And then our fake punt was another 26 yards. Like those are huge chunks. That's half of your run game right there. So it's not like, we lined up and, put our hand in the dirt and said, we're going to run at will. We didn't do that, and I don't think they could. So, but you're right. I thought when they did have success, they got under center, they got in the pistol, they ran some outside zone. They did some other, they did like some speeds, the jet sweep, that was good. That's effective. That kind of loosens things up in the middle, but there was never really a commitment to it. There was more of a commitment to attack the man covers that they had on the outside with quick screens and slants and things like that. But I think the run game's in a good place. I thought, Joe is feeling himself, man. Like a couple of those runs in the second half, I'm like, man, this guy's confident. Like that 2-point conversion was a hell of an effort. He took some shots. So that's great to see, man. And you know what? They put Nick back in the game for another 2-point play. It's like, hey, man, that stuff fun. They're having fun. They're doing stuff. They tried some wildcat things that didn't really go so well, but I think they're going to be, like Joe was saying, defensively, they make minor tweaks every week. They'll find themselves. And this is a good team to run it against Air Force. Just stuff it. Stuff it right. Let's go.
Dave, what did you think, especially of the game plan overall offensively? I thought we did a really good job with a lot of the quick screens, getting the ball on the perimeter. Since we weren't able to run it as well, we did a lot of quick screens out there to Skyler or to Romello, and we blocked well on the perimeter, and they turned into some big plays, and those ended up being our outside runs. I thought that he kept Duke's defense off balance much more than he has other teams. Do you agree with that?
Well, I thought we did a really good job of moving horizontally and vertically. I mean, they used the whole field offensively, and I think that's I think that was really effective against Duke. And we were willing to throw the ball out there horizontally. We were going on the field, which we did a great job of. We're enabling Joe to be a little bit more. Give him a little more freedom to take off and run. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't we do that, right? Like, see, we're at the end of the season.
Nothing to lose, yeah.
There's nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose, right? So it's you might as well be going for every opportunity you can. But yeah, I think that they did a great job of that. Moving the ball around, stretching the field, using the horizontal and space aspects of the field. I thought they did a really good job of that. And Figano being able to run, if Cam was, the run, that's their offense, the outside zone. That's how they do things. But Figano being able to run adds a wrinkle. So each one of these little wrinkles that they're putting into the offense over the course of the season has been really helpful. I mean, I don't know. I didn't look at what Fagnano's where he is now. He was 13 last week, but I'm sure he's moving up. He's still,
he's up. Yeah.
He's the only one that has a 0 INT ratio.
He is.
So, I mean, that's incredible. Like they're even putting him now in Madden. You could pick him when you come out in the players come out in the draft and Fagnano's available. So he's really done a great job, and he's an example, and Skylar Bell is an example of great uses of transfers and guys being able to be successful.
Well, Parham too.
Parham, right? That's right. Parham. Yep. That's right. Forgot about him. Yep.
Parham, Taekwon King. Absolutely.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I mean, the whole team.
Steve, I have a question to ask you before I go ahead. Are you feeling okay? Because we are 30 minutes into the show, and you haven't brought up they didn't run Victor Rosa enough.
Well, because you told me not to. So
here's why.
I've learned my lesson.
Here's Victor Rosa's carries during the year. He carried twice against.
I know.
Okay. 3 times against Syracuse, 3 times against Delaware, 3 times against Ball State, 2 times against Buffalo, 3 times against FIU, 4 against BC, 2 against Rice, 2 against UAB, and 2 against Duke. You know what that tells me? They don't think he can run the ball.
And it tells me, Joe, that I listen and I learn my lesson. I learned my lesson.
All right. The other thing, too, about Fagnano, and I'm all for him running, but I watched the football team that I've followed for 65 years yesterday die when their running quarterback got a concussion. I would instruct Fagnano, get your yards and get your booty on the ground. Okay?
Agreed.
Because
that just ruined me.
Teams aim for quarterbacks. So I love that he runs, and I understand the value of a running quarterback, but just understand that also carries a risk. And the drop-off between the first and second string quarterbacks, much like it is in the NFL and college, is precipitous.
Now, what I would say to you, respectfully, didn't you think that Brian Daboll and the Giants had more kind of designed runs for Jackson Dart than UConn?
Sure, because their running game stinks.
Yeah, that would be the difference. UConn doesn't necessarily do designed runs for Fignano, which I think is good, but Dart has been taking a beating.
But it doesn't. But it doesn't. To me, Stevie, it doesn't matter if it's a designed run.
No, you're right.
Anytime you leave the pocket, you're fair game. Right?
You're
so I would just say there's a risk reward with that situation. So
no, hugely. No, I totally agree with you. But Joe Fignano, his evolution over the last 2 years, and looking into a crystal ball, if we finish this year strong, and if for some reason, we get 9 wins again, or we get the magic number of 10 wins, where does that put Joe Fignano all time as a UConn quarterback in the last 2 years? Do you put him up there, Joe D?
Oh, I thought you said Villapiano. Yeah. Yeah, I would. Look at the way we've elevated Tristan Newton after 2 years of basketball into the Huskies of Honor. I mean, to me, and again, I'm prejudiced because I called most of their games, and they were there for longer. You got to have DeGennaro up
Absolutely.
there. Orlovsky's the top of the mountain. Pup's got to be up there.
Shane, yep.
But and if I'm forgetting somebody, forgive me. But if he had gotten more of a chance, Casey Cochran could have been up there too.
Yeah.
But Pasqualoni's successor put a kibosh on that. But no, I would say for 2 years, I would say Joe is maybe fourth, maybe fifth as far as quarterbacks is concerned. I mean, the numbers don't lie. And he's elevated this program with his arm and his smarts and his leadership to a point that a lot of people didn't think they'd get back to.
No, they didn't. Joe V, as a quarterback guru / whisperer expert, Joe Fignano last season, I believe he had 20 touchdowns in just under 2,000 yards passing. And I think he started 8 games, if I'm not mistaken, 7 or 8 games. This year, I believe he's up to 25 touchdowns. He's over 2,000 yards passing. And again, he's got a chance to have back-to-back 9-win seasons, possibly a 10-win season. And if you're evaluating him and you're looking at him on film, where would you put him overall as far as UConn quarterbacks go? Because I know you stayed on as a GA and coached other quarterbacks. You coached quarterbacks at Harvard and Cornell. And then where would you see him potentially landing at the next level?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Shu hit it before. He's taking care of the football. As an offensive player, it's the only thing you have. You have to possess the football, and if you don't have the ball, you have no job. Your ass is on the bench. And I think he's taking care of the football at an elite level. Zero turnovers. Like, that's incredible. They have 1 turnover on the year, no interceptions. I think if he can continue that and continue to take care of the ball, you're talking about an all-time season at UConn. Like, that's really unprecedented across all of college football. And then when you talk about the next level, Cully, that's what teams are looking at. Are they going to be able to take care of the football, make decisions? And then at the next level, you're going to be, facing some freaks, on these edge rushers and these guys up the middle. You got to be able to throw the ball under pressure with people in your lap. And he is, to me, yesterday was a statement, or Saturday, like, he's going to be able to deliver the ball in the pocket, hands to the face, still throwing the ball and getting it out. He's not happy feet. He's standing in there like a true, he's really, to me, I think really raising his draft stock for sure in these last couple of games.
Where do you see him going now, Joe? I mean, because there is the age. He's 25, which is a huge drawback. Which is a huge. Well, it's not all compared to me, but I think. But I have Shu has been preaching from the beginning that he thought he was going to get a shot, at least in mini camps and stuff. And then as the season's gone on, we've moved the conversation along. I could see him now, even with the age, being a 4th or 5th round draft pick.
I agree. I totally agree. Having seen, guys and
and they want drop back quarterbacks. They don't want the dual threat as much. They want the guys who can stand in the pocket and throw.
Right. Yeah, your dual threat is going to be, yes, they're very valuable and very hard to find, but they're going to be more along the lines of a running back. You're going to get hurt.
Right.
Exactly. And that's why running back stock isn't as high as, it used to be. But yeah, I definitely see a team, especially in the mid to later rounds, taking a chance on somebody who's smart, who's, taking care of the football and can deliver. I mean, he really spins the ball nicely, very catchable. It looks good.
No,
Joe,
and he can make all the throws.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say, Joe, is a former great wide receiver yourself who had NFL ability but decided to give your life to coaching. Where do you see Skylar Bell going? Could he be a Thursday, Friday pick?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Steve.
Yeah, he's got he's got that kind of that build, that short, stocky, strong, good catch radius, but not not a huge guy. But yeah, he's got that kind of Golden Tate-ish, maybe a little but a little bit bigger, guy that can just make plays. I think, yeah, for sure. I think somebody's got to take a look at him, and these guys have all. To me, the thing that's great, is that they've all decided to stay at UConn. They all had a chance to leave and they stayed, and that says something about them. It says something about the culture that Coach Moore has, and Coach Moore with his NFL ties and running the program in an NFL, way is going to, scouts are going to see that and be like, okay, this guy is going to come into our program and be ready. So I think so. I think he can definitely be a first day guy or second day.
Dave, as a quarterback guru yourself, who have coached, obviously have worked with former Heisman Trophy winners and quarterbacks who are currently in the NFL, where do you see Joe Figliano landing? And then also Skylar Bell, could he be a day 1 or day 2 pick?
Well, first, Skylar Bell, I think what will be big for him is going to be the combine. So he'll get into the NFL combine just off of his performance. He's, I don't know, he must be close to 100 catches. So he's going to get into the NFL combine. That's going to be big because people will want to know, coming from UConn, what does he run the 40? And that's where other UConn players have made their mark in the past and been first. Byron Jones was a first rounder off his NFL combine, right? So,
really?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He holds the record for the longest broad jump ever, I think, in the world. 12, whatever it was. So I think that's a big part. That's that's skyrocketed Byron up the ladder. And I remember because I was an agent, I had the Jeremy Davis. I was talking to a lot, and he was roommates with Byron, and I remember at the time when I went up there, like he was probably like a mid-round guy, and that put him into the higher area. So I mean, listen, if he runs a solid 40, a 40, whatever they expect him to run, he runs in that realm. I think he'll get drafted. I think he's probably, I don't know if he's a day 1 guy. I think that there's so many athletes at receiver. It's hard to be put into that category from where we play without extreme physical characteristics. So I don't know if that would be the case, but I would say definitely a guy who could go in the mid rounds. I think Figliano is really become a really interesting prospect because older quarterbacks are having much more success in the NFL, which is really an important
It's against
thing.
the norm. Yeah.
Well, they pushed for a long time and just haven't been an NFL agent for 6 years. They were pushing these guys who were high round picks to come out, play right away. And a lot of them have, a few have succeeded, but a lot of them have struggled a lot along the way. Had to become backups, then became starters, and they all seem to be doing better and better, even when they've been dropped down. Sam Darnold is one of those guys you'd say is they as they get older and they get adjusted to the speed of the NFL, because pass rushers are so fast, and I don't care how many All-Americans they are at left tackle, like those are hit or miss, the tackles, because of the speed of the defensive ends. And you don't know, even if they're the greatest guy in college, if they can be able to handle the speed of a defensive end. And that's kind of hit or miss. A quarterback who can get rid of the ball quickly, which Joe does, who's big, which Joe is, and has a taser for an arm, and he's highly accurate. So those are all the characteristics you would want. And I agree that the phase of the runner quarterback, there's definitely value to a guy that has a dual threat capabilities, no doubt about it. The hardest thing with those dual threat capabilities is reining them in to not take off as much and to get in the ground and all those kind of things. I don't think I think that's very hard to do. And case in point, Justin Fields, I think, he barely could throw the ball because he's always looking to pull the ball down to run. And so you have to like completely pare back your offense if a guy is a heavy runner. So that's not the case with Fagnano. Like, you could do anything you want to do, and he can make pretty much any throw. I think he's a mid-round pick because I think, he's where does a quarter he'll have, hopefully he can get into like the Senior Bowl. And I think that would be a huge opportunity for him. And I think that he probably would be a candidate for that, because not all the guys that could go in the Senior Bowl go, and all those kind of things. I think he probably will get into the Senior Bowl. And I think that will be a huge opportunity for him to be around guys from quote unquote big schools too, and to be able to throw to those guys. And then if he does well, I think he'd be a mid-round pick. But who knows? I mean, he is a guy that I think, and Joe's 100% right. Early in the year, I was like, I thought this guy could get into a camp, just of how well he threw and the yards he was putting up and the size. But now he's definitely a draftable guy. And he would be one of those guys that I would have been talking to early in the year. And by the end of the year, he's not going to talk to me anymore because he's going to a bigger agent. So,
Rosenhaus,
yes. So, but that's the he's really, really done a phenomenal job. I would be shocked if he didn't get drafted, to be honest. I would be shocked.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a chance in the next 2 games. I mean, he's thrown for 3 touchdowns, I believe, in the last 4 games in a row. And Skylar Bell broke the single season record for touchdowns in a year, which is also good. Joe D, I was curious because somebody mentioned this. If the AAC in the Sun Belt and the Group of 5 does not have a team that is ranked, will they not get a team in the playoffs at all?
No, I think there has to be one.
There has to be one.
Team. I think there has to be one Group of 5 team.
So there has to be one. Okay, because they were saying if Duke were to win out or JMU were to win out, then it would come down to who had the better record. But and people are also mentioning, obviously, going bowling for us. And I know it's something that we really can't predict. We're going to fill in a spot somewhere where a conference does not use one. Do you have any insight or predictions of where we could end up? Do you think we go to Myrtle Beach? Do you think we go to Florida?
No, well, I mean, the CBS Sports one, which I look at before I look at ESPN, because I'm afraid I'm going to see Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith on the website, has us going to play old friend Memphis in the Gasparilla Bowl at a place that We've been in the past, or at least I've been, Raymond James Stadium,
Wow.
which would be nice. I mean, it's an early bowl game, which has its benefits. You don't get caught in that glut of games. I mean, look, let's be honest. The quote unquote more important bowl games are later on. But as we saw last year, from North Carolina, when the last place on earth they wanted to be the last Saturday in December was at America's most beloved ballpark. Yeah. But the bowl games are not what they were when you guys were in school because nobody opted out. Now you've got guys opting out. You've got star players opting out. You've got coaches leaving. The whole I'm not demeaning going to a bowl. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying.
It's different now because a good player in a mediocre bowl isn't going to risk getting his knee ripped up.
No,
it's just the world we live in now. So
no. Joe V, let me ask you the same thing for a bowl game for us. Do you think finishing obviously with 9 wins will propel us into a better bowl, even though obviously we're going to fill a slot for a conference that doesn't have them all? Do you think that'll get us into a better bowl? And do you think that will make a difference?
Yeah, I think it'll certainly make a difference. And, I've talked to a couple of coaches on staff and they're hopeful that same thing's going to happen. And, the thing that UConn has, is it has national recognition. Like the basketball program has been very strong, and you got Coach Saban talking on national TV about UConn and the quarterback being, I think if he continues, like I said, people are going to want to see that guy play in a bowl game and do well in a bowl game and finish this unbelievable run he's on. So that I think all those things, if you can finish with 9 wins and or get to that magic number, I think they'll get into a better bowl game.
Dave, your opinion on the bowl situation? And I mean, it ends up costing us money in the end if we don't go. If we end up going far and play a team and don't travel well, it costs us money.
It ends up costing you money no matter where you go.
Oh,
unless
it does.
You go to a college football, unless you go to a college football playoff bowl game, it costs you money.
Thank you.
Because you have to buy a certain amount of tickets.
Correct.
And the odds are you're not going to sell that amount of tickets if it's Tampa in the middle at a Tuesday. It's
Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah.
He's right. Yeah, that's true. They have to sell a certain amount of tickets. You're right.
A Myrtle Beach Bowl, First Responder Bowl. What bowl are they going to put us in? I don't know.
I wish they would keep us up north, but I mean, I like
what's the one in North Carolina?
Used to be the Meineke Bowl. That's
the Meineke
Carker, but I don't think it's that anymore.
No, that might be where the Myrtle Beach one is now. Is that become that Myrtle Beach Bowl, or that's
Myrtle Beach is South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that Rand McNally.
Yeah. Thank you. No one, by the way, knew that Myrtle Beach was South Carolina.
You know what? I'm gonna go to a map to fact check.
Rand McNally. I mean, that my dad used to give me that. I mean, that's wow. Maps. Who has a map anymore?
The Mayo Bowl in Charlotte now. That's what it's called. The Mayo Bowl.
Yeah, the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea, where they're going to go bowl wise, but all the bowls are basically now like a fun entertainment thing for the fans that can get there, and for the players to get another chance to compete and get a bunch of gifts, and then move on. So I mean, I don't maybe showcase themselves one more time, but maybe for the transfers to showcase themselves. I don't know, but I'm not sure which bowl they're going to get. I think it's just fantastic that they're in the position they're in, and it's an opportunity. And I think the bigger question is, does Mora stay? That's the bigger question.
People have said that. Have asked that. And I agree with Joe D. I don't think there's any chance that he would look to leave. I think he's happy where he's at. Yeah, I do. I mean, I know there's some big power jobs open, and I know that there's not enough coaches to fill them all. But I don't see him leaving, like Joe D says. I think he's got a great.
I don't, Stevie. I don't think I'm not quite sure that's exactly how I put it. I don't think he'll leave, but if you throw a bunch of money at him, and it's closer to his Utah home, then I don't think there's any question that he would think about it. Because I mean, that's just the way it is. That's just
he spends a lot of time on the West Coast. You're right.
Oh, he spends a lot of time in Utah. That's where he's, that's his, that's where his place is. I guess his place that he goes to when he's not in bucolic stores. But
you might get recruited to Colorado.
You never can tell.
You never know.
That went bad quickly.
I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I just in Colorado. I just think that they, unless it wheels really fell off. But I think that he may decide himself just because of health and all the other things.
Yes, because of health issues. I think that's a.
I don't think they're getting rid of him.
I see another spot that has UConn going to the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. This one is against JMU.
Right.
Which would not exactly be. It would be a more winnable game, but
they're
not
good.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's not. But it's James Madison. I mean, how many years have they been in FBS now? It's not. Yes. It's not. Look, the bowl game last year you caught a break because you got North Carolina. Even though everybody bailed, it's still North Carolina and it's in Boston. You're not going to get that this year.
No,
we've come all this way just to play in the Yankee Conference again.
Joe, another question. Do you see any of, Coach Moore's assistants possibly being interviewed or getting one of those jobs, head coaching jobs that are open? Not obviously the power ones, but some of the other ones that are open.
Yeah, there's gonna be obviously a ton of turnover this year, and we just got into November, so it's gonna be even crazier in 2 weeks. And somebody's got to take these big jobs, and then somebody's gonna take these other jobs that so there's gonna be a big shift. I think their coordinators are really coordinating at a high level. We had our questions about Coach Samus last year, kind of coming into his first year as an OC. I thought the way that he game planned against Duke with his motions and unbalanced sets, how many 4x0 sets did they line up in? And it created so much confusion for Duke. The 2 touchdowns, number 0 was following Skylar the entire game. And number 0, both touchdowns, that Skylar caught, he got caught on the wrong side of the field. And one he was 2 guys were covering one, the first touchdown of the game. So I thought he
covered Juice on the one. It was like
3 over 1.
3. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought, I think he's really doing a great job as an offensive line coach to come up with those formations and really do a great job scheming up Duke. I thought that was excellent. And I think the defensive coordinator with Coach leading Brock. The country in sacks, and the packages he puts together for third down and man, those guys are doing an excellent job. And yes, they are up there to me. And somebody's going to look at those guys.
And the one thing they did do that I think helped, they took the offensive line away from Coach Samus and allowed him to just focus on being a coordinator, which I think shows and made a difference. But Joe D, do you think any of the assistants, Coach Brock or Coach Gordon, would have an opportunity at a head job?
They might get one at a head job. They might get one at a mid-level school. They're not going to get Auburn or Florida or any of those places. But what could happen is they may get coordinators' jobs at a highly placed school,
at a higher paid
as
school.
the next stepping stone if they want to be a head coach. I think that's definitely within the realm of possibility. Somebody's going to look at what Gordy Samus has done with this offense and say this guy knows what he's doing, and somebody's going to look at the way that the defense has made adjustments and think, Matt Brock knows what he's doing. So I don't know if they're ready to be head coaches yet, even at like a school like Billy Crocker. Billy Crocker went to Eastern Illinois, and has done a great job. There. It might not be Eastern Illinois. I might be wrong. I got to look that up. But I think they could definitely get higher profile coordinator jobs. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. But to put a bow on the Duke game, Joe V, your final thoughts on our big win against Duke.
Yeah, really great job. Like I said, coaching staff, the guys made plays. We talked about players, formations, plays on offense. They got their players the ball, number 1, number 0, and then they formation the crap out of them. That was an awesome job. And then the plays kind of fell into place, and they did a great job there. I want to give one shout out. I saw one thing when watching the game that I loved. It was great, and I think this was a great play in the game. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Duke's kickoff return was killing our kickoff. Like they were getting the ball on the 45, 50-yard line. And then in the fourth quarter, number 57, he didn't even have a name on the back of his jersey, made a tackle at the 20-yard line on kickoff and made them march the whole field, and they didn't end up scoring on that drive. That was a great – whoever the hell number 57 is, that guy gets the boomstick. That was a great play. No name on the back of his jersey. Get him a name.
That award.
Man, I love it. That's why I love college football. And that's, I think, another testament to the culture that Coach Moore has created, man. Guys are flying around. They don't even have name tags on. They're just flying around making plays. It was awesome.
Coach Schumann, your final thoughts on the Duke win?
I just think it's a fantastic performance. I think it's a huge another step for the program, and to me, it stamps that we should be in a big conference. Okay, I think agree. Enough with the bullshit. Like, let's get us in a big conference. Let's, and then you'll get the donors you need to be able to support the program when you do that. It's not going to work the other way around. It's shown it's not going to work the other way, at least with football. Okay, it's not going to work the other way around. You have to get us in a big conference. That is the job of the athletic director and the president's office and all that. And they got to negotiate their ass off and make it happen. And I think they will. Because basketball is at least in the women's side, is a joke. Okay, with the teams they play against.
And Big East.
I mean, it's a joke. The teams they play, the big teams they play against. Forget a conference. I'm sure the men, even though the Big East is fun, it's basically the Catholic school conference and us, and which is fine for now. But we need to be in a big conference, and the ACC needs better programs, and they need UConn. And I'm sure the Big Ten could probably use us as well, because there's some crappy teams in the Big Ten also. So, and that's just the facts. And I think that Northeast football, and just knowing how everything works, there's Penn State. Okay, Rutgers is not gonna make the next step. They don't have the capability. They have the best coach they've ever had in the history of the program, and he's a fantastic coach. He does amazing things for Rutgers. Yeah. They cannot, and he gets players and all that kind of stuff, but he can't. UConn could, because basketball has shown that. What has Rutgers basketball done? I mean, No,
I know. I agree.
Two first rounders and won 6 games. Okay, so two big time prospects and won 6 games. So I think that's the next step for us as a program. Mora has done an amazing job showing us that this can happen. Our schedule has worked in our favor, no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But the fact that we're not in the conference is just a travesty. That's the next step of things that has to change.
Yeah. One reason UConn's never going to get in the Big Ten until it changes is a requirement for Big Ten membership is being a member of the Association of American Universities, and UConn's not in that now.
Is that
what is that?
Yes, that's an academic thing.
Yeah,
it's a requirement for Big Ten membership. So until UConn is admitted as a member of the AAU, the Association for American Universities, there's no shot of getting into the Big Ten.
Is that an academic meaning
yes.
Right, we're not as good a university as far as okay.
Yeah.
A public university, yeah.
I think the ACC is more realistic, but I also think that the ACC feels they have enough teams in the Northeast footprint, and they don't need another. Now, if schools leave, that's a different story. The Big 12 to me geographically makes no sense.
No,
because the money you spend to spend your Olympic teams to places. I'll never forget the first year West Virginia went to the Big 12. By the middle of the season, they were bitching and moaning about the travel. And I'm friends with Tony Carini, their play-by-play guy. And I said, "Did your people look at the roadmap to see where these schools were?" I mean, I would say ACC would be the place to get into. But until somebody leaves, I don't. Unfortunately, and I agree with everything you said, Shu. I agree with everything you said. The other thing, though, is it's got to be more than 2 good years of football. It's got to be more than 2 good years, and that's all it's been is 2 years. It's been great up here, but it's only been 2 years, and I think you need more. I think you need more consistency to wave your card at the Power 4 conferences and say, "Let us in."
And I've said this to you too, Joe. I just don't think we have a sense of urgency to get into a conference. And
I totally disagree.
Oh, you do think we do?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, if
good.
you don't think David Benedict's on the phone, that's not even remotely true.
Good. I'm happy to be wrong on that one. No, I just I want us to get into a conference. I don't know that we can survive another 3 years without being in a conference. So I'm glad that there's a sense of urgency, and I'm glad that he's working to get us into a conference. And, it's not like the same, Joe, when you and I played as independents. I mean, we were going down to Virginia Tech. We played Louisville. We played BC. We played really tough opponents and punched up above our belt. They're playing teams that they can compete with, which I think has helped them. And, then we eventually went into the Big East after that. But I think the win against Duke was tremendous. I think that, like you said, Joe, Coach Gordon had a great game plan. He got his playmakers the ball. He had a lot of deception. He kept their defense on their heels. I like that we used Terrence Smith a little bit more and got him involved. Skylar Bell. Juice Farine, we're using him the right way as a tight end. He's a matchup problem for everyone. And I love that Romello Murphy got involved. And defensively, we got stops when we needed to. And like Joe D said, we gave up a little bit more rushing, but we stopped them passing and we forced 2 turnovers. And I think that's huge going forward. So thank you guys. Thank you guys all. Another banner episode of Husky Huddle as we have the dual view, the portrait and the landscape. For the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D, and Joe Villapiano, former Harvard coach, former Cornell offensive coordinator, and Coach Schumann, who is just getting better and hitting it life. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.